first start potty training, one thing to keep in mind is not to give your dog too much freedom too soon. A lot of times people bring home a new dog or a new puppy and they just let them run all over the house, and they come home and they find pee and poo everywhere. So I have a little saying that I like to use in my own house, and that is, freedom is earned, and it is earned through reliable potty training. So when I bring home a dog, what I like to use is a form of confinement anytime that I cannot physically have my eyes on my dog. So if I have to go take a shower, or I'm working on the computer and I can't watch what my dog's doing, they're going to be in a crate, a playpen, or in a safe room that has been puppy proofed, and I know they're not going to get into anything dangerous or, pee all over the place or rip anything to shreds. When you correct a puppy or a dog for inappropriately eliminating, you only have 1 to 2 seconds in order to catch the behavior. So this means if you come home and you find a puddle or a pile of poo in your house, you can't scold your puppy for it. You just have to clean it up and get on with your life. The reason for this, if you come home and you find a mess and you scold your puppy's either going to learn to hide it better, so they're going to do it under your furniture or behind the bed or somewhere where you can't reach it, or they'll associate you coming home with them getting into trouble, and it's going to really hurt your relationship with your dog. So when you're correcting a puppy, make sure that you only do it when you catch them in the act, and you need to do something to interrupt the behavior. So what I like to do is I like to use an and then I'll pick the puppy up and take them over to where I want them to go to the bathroom. That way, when they get there, even if they give me 1 drop of pee, then I will praise them and let them know that that's exactly what they should have done. You never want to rub your dog's nose in it. You never want to physically hurt your dog anytime they have an accident. You need to be realistic. Dogs don't come automatically potty trained, and it's up to you as their pet parent to make sure that you teach them. Anytime you're not supervising your dog, you have to be able to catch them in the act. So supervision is the last key to your potty training. You want to make sure that when you're home and you do have your eyes on your dog, you can block it off into one room and only the room that you're in, using baby gates or any sort of wall to keep your dog limited to only the room that you're in. This way you can survey the room and check and see what your dog is doing. This will help you a lot, because if you can look at your dog, see them spinning in a circle or squatting or sniffing intently, they're looking for a place to potty. So this is a fantastic opportunity to take your dog over to where they should go potty. You're going to need to establish a reliable routine. Dogs do really well on a very strict routine, so while you're potty training your puppy, you want to set up a daily routine where you wake them up at the same time every day, you feed them at the same time every day, and you take them out to go potty at the same time every day. Playing and going to sleep, if you can regulate those, that would be helpful, but it's not necessary. Basically just the food and water intake and outtake in the form of pee and poo are the things that you really want to regulate. So when you're feeding, set meal times for the same time and only leave the food down for 20 minutes. If your puppy doesn't eat or walks away and gets distracted by something, leave it down for 20 minutes, but pick it up. If you let your dog free feed all day, then you will have pee and poo all day. Same thing with the water. Make sure that you have set water times. 6 times a day is usually recommended. Now this doesn't mean you're regulating how much water your dog gets. So you're just regulating when they drink. So when you put the bowl down, let them drink as much as they want. You want to make sure that they stay hydrated. So this way you know when the food and water go in, you can start to estimate when it'll go out. So that way you can better judge when to time your potty breaks. If you've decided to go with the outdoors potty training method, I'm personally a big fan of that method because I want to encourage my dog to hold their bladder when they're in the house, so that way they don't get into a habit of going into the house. But that's not always an option for some people, especially if you live in an apartment and you don't always have an outdoors area available. So, outdoor potty training. It's pretty simple. You have to crate train or playpen train in addition to the potty training, so look for my other video on crate training. But basically, when you are potty training for outdoors, anytime you can't be home or your eyes will physically be on the dog, you need to have them in a crate. Now, a crate should only be big enough for them to get up and turn around and stretch in. It should not be big enough for them to go potty in one corner of the crate and live in the other part of the crate. Dogs will naturally not pee where they sleep. They want to keep it clean. So when you put them in an area that small, it feels like a den. And the den, mama dog or wolf, what have you, will always clean up the pee and poo if they happen to go there because it attracts predators. So it taps into that natural urge to not go where they pee. So one thing to keep in mind, if you are going with a crate method with a puppy, they cannot hold their bladders for a full day, and nor should they be forced to. The method that you can calculate how long your dog will need to be in a crate is their age in months plus 1. So if I have a 3-month-old puppy, add 1, and that's 4 hours. My puppy can be in there for 4 hours. So if you have a really young puppy, you might want to hire a pet sitter or somebody that can come over and let the dog out for a potty break. So with that said, anytime you can't be watching your dog, they're in the crate, and when you come home, you want to make sure to let them out and take them on a leash to a designated spot in your yard or on your walking path, and that is going to be their potty spot. You're going to take them there every single time on leash, and you're going to wait and wait and wait. Bring a book with you, bring your cell phone with you, whatever you got to do to keep yourself occupied, but you do not leave that spot until you get something. Now, when your dog starts going, praise them gently like, "Good dog, that is such a good potty." And after they finish, "Woohoo, good dog, all right." Bring a cookie for them, bring a very special treat that you only use for potty training, and let them know that when they go in that spot, they get their own private parade because they did such a good job. After that, they are free to roam about the country. They can, run around in your house. You can play with them, whatever you want to do, because you know that they're empty and they're not going to have an accident for you. So what do you do if you waited and waited and waited and you still have nothing? Put them back in the crate for another hour and then try again. But let them know that they do not get that freedom unless they are on empty. Alright, now that everybody's potty, let's go back inside, okay?
Good boy. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so indoor potty training has its own set of pros and cons. The pro is that it's easier and you don't have to worry about taking them inside and outside, so it's really good if you live in an apartment. The cons are that it can be costly in the long run because you're always having to buy pads or grass patches or whatever method you decide to go with. The dog may not use them at all. The dog could end up chewing them up and having a lot more fun with them than using them. And your dog is still going potty in the house, which personally I'm not a big fan of the idea. But if this is your method, then I'll explain how to do it. So first things first is you need to decide where you're going to put your puppy and the pad. I'm just going to use pad as a default, but it's the same method for pretty much everything. I like to use a playpen because it limits the amount of freedom that my dog has until they're reliably potty trained. So take a circular pen and you're going to set it up just like this. In this setup, you have 3 distinct regions. You have the sleeping area, the potty pad area, and the food and water bowls. So this way the puppy has only one option where to pee. As your dog's potty training becomes more reliable, you can expand their pen so that way they can have more freedom. Now, one big mistake a lot of people make with the potty pads or the litter boxes is that they have more than one and they're scattered all over the place. Now, this is really confusing, especially if you have a dog and a bunch of potty pads in a very large room, because they're not going to know where to go. So you want to make sure that you're using only one and try to replace them after they're used, because a lot of dogs will not use the same pad. Now, if you decide to use one of the grass mats, it's those nice little mats that have either real or fake grass on them, you're going to train them exactly the same way as the outdoor method. You're just going to take them to the patch every time and reward them when they go there. If they have some trouble adjusting to it, what you can do is, if they've had an accident in the house, take a paper towel and wipe up the mess and put it underneath the patch. So that way they understand that this is where they're supposed to go. and they have that smell to attract them. Now, if you're having some potty training difficulties with them missing the pad or they're not even using it, you might need to get a scent attractant that they sell. You just spray it on the pad and they understand that that's where to go. If you're having trouble with them going potty at the potty spot in the yard or outside, you can get a little stake that you stick in the ground and it's yellow. It looks kind of like this. And that should help a lot. Alright, that's about it. My last thoughts for you guys. If you keep up with the freedom must be earned rule, you make sure that your corrections are well timed, you're supervising your dog, and you're keeping them confined when you can't watch them, you should have a perfectly potty trained puppy in no time. Alright, thanks for watching.